Chapter 44 Before the Storm. So, Luffy begins his standard recruitment method, badgering someone until they give in and decide to join his crew. While Sanji does decline, Luffy continues to ignore Sanji's declining, and Gin uses the moment to properly introduce himself. He then warns Luffy about the Grand Line, as he's clearly traumatized from whatever he experienced out there. We then cut to the Cooks, who talk about Gin's boss, Don Krieg, setting him up as the next big villain that Luffy and crew has to deal with. After Gin leaves, Luffy is brought into the kitchen and is set to work, but fumbles around before he's eventually kicked out and sent to the dining area to take orders. It's here he finds the rest of his crew enjoying the restaurant vibes. As we get the first of many times of Sanji sipping over Nami, Zeph shows up to tell Sanji to leave with Luffy, saying that he should just go off and be a pirate. We then cut to Gin having returned to Don Krieg and telling him that he'll guide him to Baratie. Obviously, this chapter is set up to be, the next big threat for the arc, which is Don Krieg, with some rather humorous moments with the various Baratie staff. Seeing Luffy work as a chore boy shows he has never worked or done chores a day in his life and is completely unserious about the whole thing. He even does a quick comment about, man, chores are so hard. Kobe must have been miserable. Which is a really nice moment for Luffy to think of his old friend. There's also another nice bit of foreshadowing as Gin warns Luffy to not go to the Grand Line, as he's clearly traumatized from what he experienced out there. It's interesting to see how dangerous the Grand Line is set up and hyped up to be before we get there, considering the fact that the bulk of this series takes place in the Grand Line, and even has a further divide between the Grand Line and the New World. But yeah, all the elements are going into play as we set up the various players for this arc and how things are going to play out. There are also some hints about not everything being right with Don Krieg, as it seems, as Gin does mention that the state of things with the crew is terrible. And I wonder what that could mean for the Baratie staff. Okay, I do know what it means for the Baratie staff, but I'm just trying to hype up for the next chapter for those who haven't read or watched this part of One Piece. But yeah, next time.